I didn't get the MVP that year, and they gave it to Charles Barkley. But with that said, okay, fine, you can have that. I'm gonna get this.
Jordan responded by delivering one of the greatest finals performances ever recorded.
I know.
He averaged 41 points per game. Still.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jordan's back. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It is the 23rd. Happy 23rd, everybody. Happy Michael Jordan Day. We are going to take a break from all the usual playoff stuff going on, and we are going to kick back and celebrate Michael Jordan. We got a little bit of a long one here for the morning vid, and the night one should be... it's going to be fun. I'll show you guys when we get there. But I try to do this thing where I get it like very contrasting videos for the, for the 23rd. So first one is going to be more of a deep dive. Second one is going to be more action. So anyways, guys, welcome to the 23rd. I'm happy to be here. We survived another month, everybody. And to me, that's a victory in 2026. So guys, let's do this. What do we got today? We got a video from Zay Speaks. Now, this one's been sitting on my members request list for a long time. And I've honestly been saving it for the 23rd. And we're here. I got to be real. I think I was saving it for last month's 23rd, but then something else came up to take its place. But here we are now. This one is titled, "Is Michael Jordan Really the GOAT?" And I read through the comments, and here's the deal. This is a small channel, 196 subscribers, but it got 14,000 views. And I went through the comments, and it's just like everyone is just praising like how good this video is, especially considering how low the sub count is. So you guys know me. If there's an underdog out there that's putting out good basketball content, I'd like to highlight that if possible. So here we are, guys. Link is going to be down below in the description of this video if you want to check out the Zay Speaks channel. And I'm not subscribed yet because I always play this fair, but if I enjoy this video as much as I'm assuming I will, I'll be hitting that subscribe button while we watch. So guys, happy 23rd. Thanks for being here. I say let's get this celebration kicked off and going. Is Michael Jordan the GOAT? I think most of us know the answer to that, but let's see what this person's process is going to be in deciding that. So anyways, guys, welcome. Like the vid if you could, hype the vid if you could. All that good stuff helps out. And a big time shout out to channel members. I appreciate you guys keeping me afloat. I say let's do this. Not one, not two, not three. Oh, in record timing, the 93 finals gets brought up. Awesome. By the way, one of you guys pointed out that I should have had a tribute to the 93 finals, all the clips that I've reacted to at the 93 finals. Maybe I'll make a montage someday. I need 10 times the views so I can hire an editor and then just like task an editor to do that. Like, yo, find all my 93 finals clips and put it in a compilation. Maybe someday. Not 4. Not 5. Oh, 6.
GOAT. Greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. Many people have their own criteria. Are you a dominant scorer? Or are you a dominant force? Can you score at your own will? Or did you change the game? Are you a prestigious winner? Or are you an anomaly with the physical gifts gifted from God himself? Do you have the aura to captivate a whole arena? Or were you just born to be great? Or are you all of those things I just listed?
I was about to say, are you everything? Yeah, that's why. That's why the Michael Jordan thing is just like, he's the final boss.
Sometimes I dream
that he is me.
Got to see that's how I dream to be.
Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum.
I dream I move. I dream I groove.
Like Chuck. If I could be like Chuck.
I wanna be like Mike. If I could be like
Man, take me back to the 90s. Take me right back, please.
Before the championships, Before the global fame, before the sneakers, commercials, and billion-dollar brand, Michael was just another promising prodigy. When Jordan entered the NBA in 1984, the league was already in good hands. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were claimed the saviors of the league, and yet they saved the league. But that wasn't Jordan's goal, to save the NBA. His goal was to take it. Jordan averaged 28 points per game as a rookie, and that was enough to win the 1984-1985 NBA's Rookie of the Year. Although Jordan was phenomenal, his team, not so much.
Yeah.
The early Chicago Bulls didn't make deep playoff runs. In fact, they used to get their whooped. One of the most common criticisms of Michael Jordan's career is that he couldn't win in the postseason early on, especially before the arrival of Scottie Pippen, where many people bring up the fact he was 1-9 in the playoffs before he arrived. And on the surface, that criticism sounds fair. But in Jordan's rookie year, he lost in the first round to a 59-win Milwaukee Bucks team with the 6th best offense, 2nd best defensive rating, 2 All-Stars in Sidney Moncrief and Terry Cummings,
former
who was 5th in
DPOY
MVP voting that year, and a defensive anchor in Paul Pressey, who was 3rd in DPOY voting and was first-team All-Defense. Despite all of this, in this series as a rookie, Jordan still managed to average 29.3 points per game, 8.5 assists, and 5.8 rebounds, squeezing out 1 win.
Crazy.
But
As a rookie.
No player in NBA history has won the championship every single year of their career. So some players take time. And in his second year in 1986, Jordan broke his foot and was forced to miss 64 of the team's first 67 games. The Bulls will go 21-42 in his absence and finish 30-52, sneaking into the playoffs by the grace of the early NBA structure. You see, the league had a high playoff qualification rate at the time. In 1986, 16 of the 23 teams in the NBA made the postseason, meaning approximately 70% of the league advanced. The Eastern Conference consisted of only 11 teams, and 8 out of those 11 teams were granted playoff berths. Chicago secured the final seed by finishing just 1 game ahead of the Cavs, who went 29-53, and 4 games ahead of the Pacers, who went 26-56.
Damn.
Even though his team was nowhere near a playoff caliber team, he was still in the playoffs, and he still had to do his due diligence.
Yeah.
And in Game 2 of the first round, a 23-year-old Michael Jordan walked into the Boston Garden and did the unthinkable.
These are those moments early on where you would expect almost anybody else to just kind of fall apart. You know what I mean? It's them against it's David against Goliath. So it's easy to think that you can just kind of quit and give up and just say, we weren't supposed to win anyways. But Jordan went out there fighting, man. You know, he went down swinging. And also the narrative that, you know, all the LeBron fans like to point out, Jordan didn't win his first couple of years, blah, blah, blah. Dude, he won after 6 seasons. So did LeBron. So that one's a wash. What matters there, because that one canceled. They canceled each other out. What matters is what happened after they won that first one. What was, who reigned supreme? Who stayed dominant after that? And Jordan won 5 more in a short window. Within 8 years, he won 6 total. LeBron fans can't say that, so I don't know why they bring up the fact that Jordan didn't win his first couple of years. Like, if you were a Magic Johnson fan or something, and you were saying, like, Magic's the GOAT, I would totally understand that argument, because that actually makes sense. You'd say, well, Magic won in his first season. Finals MVP, baby. Be like, yeah, that's true. I got nothing on that one. That was awesome. But that wasn't LeBron. That was Magic.
Haywire, dropping 63 points, a still standing NBA playoff record on the eventual NBA champions.
Yeah, guys, we hear this all the time. How crazy is it that this stat was created in 1986, 63 points, and it's still going literally 40 years later, still standing. And we're in the era of the inflated scoring, yet no one has touched this.
With no three-pointers, no modern spacing, just pure bucket getting.
Yep.
That Celtics roster featured 5 Hall of Famers, and at the time was widely considered one of the greatest teams of all time. They had Larry Bird, who was the MVP that year, Kevin McHale, who earned all defensive first-team honors, Robert Parrish, who was an all-star, Dennis Johnson, who earned all defensive first-team honors as well, and Bill Walton, who won 6th Man of the Year. And after that game,
he was
3-time MVP Hall of Famer Larry Bird famously said,
I've never seen it before, and I had never seen it after. That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. It was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
In Michael's third year, he transcended beyond his usual ceiling. He averaged 37 points per game.
Yeah.
And get this, he only hit 12 threes on the entire season.
I believe it. Yep. All that shooting, and he still was at 48%. Free throws consistent as always. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That and then Kobe's 35 are always going to be insane seasons. But the efficiency Jordan had, man, just reigned supreme over anything I've ever seen.
And get this, he only hit 12 threes on the entire season. He came second in MVP voting, losing to Magic Johnson, who led the Lakers to a 65-17 record in NBA championship.
That's one of those Magic got MVP straight up because of the team success. That's all there is to it. Individually, who was the best player in the world? It was definitely Michael Jordan. But you gotta lead a winning team in order to win that MVP 99 out of 100 times. Unless you're Russ, then they gave him one because that was the first time anybody had averaged a triple-double since Oscar Robertson. So it was such a big deal that even though he was on a kind of, he didn't have the greatest team or the greatest record that year, but they gave it to him, and I think that was the right choice.
Despite Jordan's valiant effort, the Bulls still only went 40-42 and would lose in the first round to the Celtics again, and it was evident that Jordan would need some help. In the 1987 NBA draft, Scottie Pippen was selected as the 5th overall pick by the Seattle Supersonics. He was immediately traded to the Bulls in a draft day deal for Olden Polynice and draft picks.
Olden Polynice.
We all know what Scottie would turn out to be, but his arrival didn't instantly turn the Chicago Bulls into champions.
Nope.
Like most rookies, Pippen needed time to develop. He wasn't the polished superstar people remember today.
I know, and that's what's weird about that whole narrative. And I would understand what they're saying if they drafted Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant because they came in the same year. Most haters don't know that, but it's the truth. They both came off the bench. They weren't great. But if they came in and year one, Scottie was averaging like 25 points and like 10 rebounds, and Horace was getting you like 10 rebounds and 15 points, and they win a championship year one, then you have some ground to stand on and be like, well, look what happened. He needed Pippen and Grant, and I would gladly admit at that point, absolutely he did. He finally had a good solid team, but the impact didn't happen until years later. 91 was a long time later after 87.
He was raw, athletic, and incredibly versatile, but still learning how to play at the NBA level. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan was already ascending into something the league had quite never seen before. In that same 1987-88 season, Scottie's rookie year, Jordan delivered one of the greatest individual seasons in NBA history.
Yes, sir.
He averaged 35 points per game, led the league in scoring, and completely dominated both ends of the floor. That year, Jordan did something that has only been accomplished by a handful of players in NBA history.
Guys, you could totally tell because this is a low... By the way, I'm totally subscribing to this channel. But since Zay only has 196 subscribers, he's using copywritten music. So I'm totally getting copyright striked here. I'm sorry, not striked. I'm getting copyright claimed on this one. So guys, shout out to channel members. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate that support.
Nonetheless, at the guard position, he won Most Valuable Player and Defensive Player in the same season at just 25 years old. On offense, he was unstoppable. On defense, he was suffocating, leading the league in steals and becoming one of the most feared perimeter defenders in the league. And for the first time in years, the Bulls were actually winning. Chicago finished the season 50-32, their first 50-win season since the 1970s, and the first one of the Jordan era. Chicago was finally finding their stride, but standing in their way was one of the most brutal teams the NBA has ever seen, the Bad Boy Pistons. Led by Hall of Famers like Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, and a young Dennis Rodman, Detroit didn't try to beat Jordan. They tried to break him.
Yeah, they did. This is where that mental toughness stuff comes into play.
The rivalry began in the 1988 playoffs when Detroit eliminated Chicago in 5 games in the second round. But that was only the beginning. The following year, in 1989, Jordan and the Bulls had improved. Jordan was averaging 33 a night, and Pippen was developing into a true two-way player, averaging 15 points per game and 6 rebounds. That year, Chicago pushed Detroit all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, their first appearance in the Jordan era. Despite the Bulls leading the series 2-1 at one point, the Pistons won 3 straight games to close the series and eventually sweep the NBA Finals.
Yep.
Then, in 1990, the Bulls came back even stronger. Jordan had matured, and Pippen had notched his first All-Star appearance, and Chicago was now one of the most exciting teams in basketball. Once again, they met Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals. This time, Detroit didn't have the Bulls' number. They owned it. And once again, the Pistons won in a grueling 7-game series. 3 years.
Yeah, that was the migraine Game 7. That was the migraine Game 7. I always wonder, could they have done it? Could they have done it right there and then? 1 year earlier. Started their reign of dominance 1 year earlier. That could have meant 7 championships, but that would have altered the entire timeline. So who really knows?
3 straight playoff eliminations to the same team. And Detroit had a very specific strategy designed to stop one man. It was called the Jordan rules.
It was called beat his ass every time he comes into the lane and push him left every time anyways.
The Jordan rules was a defensive system created by Hall of Fame Pistons coach Chuck Daly. The concept was simple. If Michael Jordan was going to beat you, he was going to feel every second of it.
Yeah.
Whenever Jordan drove to the basket, multiple defenders would collapse on him.
Yep, tripping
Hard
him.
fouls were common. The Pistons forced him into traffic, bumped him off his spots, and tried to wear him down physically over the course of an entire series. They attacked him every possession. The goal wasn't
That one was good defense by Isaiah.
just to defend Jordan. The goal was to exhaust him. And for 3 straight years, it worked. But those losses would end up shaping Jordan and the Bulls into something much more dangerous. Because after losing Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals in 1990, Michael Jordan realized something important.
Freaking Bill Amer.
Talent alone wouldn't be enough. If the Bulls wanted to beat Detroit, they would have to become stronger, smarter, and tougher.
And this is something the analytics people do not understand. These are human beings, individuals. So it's not just about, you could shoot 38% from the 3. That's all we need. It doesn't matter who you are. If you can do that, we're putting you there and we're going to win. That's not how it works. The mental side of the game is at least 50% of the game. There's a ton of people who can shoot.
And the league was about to find out what happened when Michael Jordan finally figured it all out.
I mean, you see what's going on in the playoffs every year. It's been really interesting the last 3 years for me to watch the playoffs because regular season, everyone is getting their butt wiped by the refs. You get touched. You even there's phantom fouls, whistle blows for everything. You don't have to worry about it. Playoffs, they're letting them play a little more so that you can see the soft ones versus the ones who are mentally really strong. And, I had to call out Luka a couple of years ago. I called out Ant-Man a couple of years ago. These guys were running out of gas. You know what I mean? And you could just see the players that get frustrated. Jokic, for instance, lately the last two playoff seasons, I noticed he's getting flustered when people are bodying him. They're hitting him a little bit. They're giving him some shots, and then he's turning around and literally trying to kill these guys. Well, it's working against him, but that's where the mental toughness thing comes in, and that's what not only Jordan but the entire Bulls team had to learn against this Detroit squad because the goal was, you hit me, I act like nothing happened. I'm focused on the game, and nothing can break my focus. That's how you beat a bully. You make it seem like you don't even notice they're there. Then they get bored.
Michael Jordan spent the next offseason going into year 7 transforming his body. He added muscle, worked relentlessly in the weight room, and bought fully into second-year coach Phil Jackson's triangle offense, which emphasized ball movement and trusting his teammates. Because if the Bulls were going to beat Detroit, Jordan couldn't do it alone. And in 1991, everything finally clicked. The Bulls stormed through the regular season, finishing 61-21, the best record in the Eastern Conference, and Michael Jordan was named the NBA's MVP. Scottie had developed into one of the most versatile players in the league. The roster had depth, defense, and a system that no longer relied on just Jordan doing everything himself.
Yep.
And once again,
I always try to separate it. I'll always be mad at Mr. Pibb for all the slander he's been saying, but man, was he a hell of a defensive player with those long ass arms. He was shoot. I mean, when I was hooping, I literally from a kid, I tried to emulate Scottie's style of defense because I have long gorilla arms too. Like always have been. It was always my nickname back in the day. It is what it is. I used it to my advantage. But Scottie, man, is always going to be one of the greatest defenders, in my opinion.
Their path to the finals went through Detroit, but this time it wasn't even close. In the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals, the Bulls swept the Pistons.
That's called
After
revenge.
years of beating Chicago down physically, the Bad Boys had finally been dethroned. In a moment that still lives in NBA history, several Pistons players walked off the floor before the final buzzer, refusing to shake hands with Chicago. The team that had tormented Jordan for half of his young career had finally been conquered, but there was still one more test waiting. The NBA Finals.
Yep.
Waiting on the other side was none other than reigning back-to-back MVP Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yep.
Magic was
Talk
already
about experience, man. Like I said earlier, the guy who came in his rookie year and got Finals MVP and stepped up on the biggest stage, freaking played center even. Like, shoot. This being Jordan's first final boss? Wow.
five-time champion, who is widely considered one of the greatest players to ever play the game of basketball.
This is like what we should have got. We should have got, can you imagine in LeBron's first NBA Finals if he went against like a prime Kobe Bryant and Lakers? Like that's what I feel like this was for Jordan. It's like, crap, man. This guy's got all the experience. It is the first time the Bulls have ever been here.
Everyone nowadays says that Jordan played against a washed Magic and nursing home Lakers team in this specific final.
Nope, hope you did your
research. To prove an agenda that Jordan didn't face tough competition in his championship runs. But they fail to state that Magic was averaging 19 points per game and 12.5 assists during that season. He also finished second in MVP vote.
And with that one right there, I already subbed. If I didn't already subscribe to you, I was gonna subscribe to you right there. Right there. You already won. You don't even have to play no more games.
Behind none other than Jordan himself, while earning an All-NBA first team.
Washed my ass.
Accompanying Magic was All-Star and Hall of Fame.
These guys are idiots. I'm an old fart, so I remember how it all went down. He was not washed, obviously. He was, considered top 2, top 3 NBA players in the entire league at this point. And obviously, he's still leading a great team going to the NBA Finals. But the truth is right after this, he contracted HIV and he had to retire. So people who don't understand or weren't there, they go, oh, so this was the season before Magic retired. So he had to be old and washed out. Nah, dude. He just started playing in 79. He still had 6, 7, damn it, I said the thing. He had 6 or 7 good years left in him. So, yeah, don't buy that narrative at all. It's completely hogwash, and it just shows that people didn't do their research. Because anybody who did their research would know 91 Magic was not washed. He was ready for many more years. He just contracted HIV, man.
James Worthy, who was averaging 21 points per game that season, while making All-NBA third team.
Big game James.
Despite the pedigree he was about to face in the first finals, Jordan was ready. Throughout the series, he dazzled the world with performances that instantly became legendary. The Bulls defeated the Lakers 4-1, and Michael Jordan captured his first NBA championship, being named Finals MVP.
Yeah, you know how they give LeBron so much credit for coming down from a 3-1? So he won 3 games in a row in the finals? Cool, right? That's pretty hard to do, I guess, to win 3 in a row in an NBA Finals. Well, Jordan started out his first NBA Finals against the Lakers down 1-0. And then guess what he did? He won 4 in a row. I think that's more impressive. What do you guys think?
He averaged 31 points per game and 11.5 assists for someone who was widely criticized as a ball hog and isolation-dependent scorer up until this point in his career. Also averaging 6.5 rebounds in this series.
Not only 55.8%, that's stupid sick. In an NBA Finals, that's insane. But yeah, 31 points, he's right there on par. 11.4, that's obviously, Michael Jordan and his mentality. That was him intentionally beating Magic Johnson at his own game while still winning somehow.
The player critics once said...
It was like a side quest,
couldn't win, was now a champion. And once Jordan finally broke through, he didn't stop. In 1992, Jordan would be named back-to-back MVP, leading the Bulls to a 67-15 record and the commanding 1 seed. The Bulls would bulldoze through the Eastern Conference, taking down 22-year-old prodigy Steve Smith and 20-point-per-game scorer Glenn Rice's Miami Heat in a first-round sweep. In the second round, they would face the Knicks, anchored by Hall of Fame center Patrick Ewing and floor general Mark Jackson. Both teams would go back and forth before Jordan would drop 42 points in a winner-go-home Game 7 to send the Bulls to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Always, guys, always look at the shooting percentage. I don't know about you. It never ceases to amaze me. I know everyone just always goes right at the points, but right after the points, look at the shooting percentage. It's unbelievable.
In a winner-go-home Game 7 to send the Bulls to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs were led by All-NBA sniper Mark Price, All-NBA former #1 pick Brad Daugherty, and All-Defensive forward Larry Nance Sr. The Bulls would beat the Cavs in 6 games, and they would return to the finals for the second year in a row to face the Trailblazers led by Hall of Fame guard Clyde Drexler.
And no love for Craig Elo, huh?
Jordan dominated the series, highlighted by the famous shrug game, where he set a then NBA Finals record for both three-pointers and a half and points and a half, with 6 and 35. Chicago beat the Blazers in 6 and repeated as champions.
Yep. And that series gets a twisted narrative because how explosive that Game 1 was from MJ. You guys, it went to 6 games for a reason. The Blazers were for real.
3 MVPs, 1 Defensive Player of the Year, 2 rings, and a lump sum of other accolades at only 29 years old. You would think Jordan would have reached his peak, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Add this one. Hey, editor, even though you don't exist because I don't have money to pay you, add this clip to the 93 finals compilation. All right? Thank you.
Absolutely not. The following year in 1993, the Bulls were atop the East, 57 wins in the 1 seed once again. Jordan and the Bulls would take down Hall of Famer Dominique Wilkins and the Hawks in the first round. Next stop was Cleveland.
Yeah, people like to act like Jordan didn't have competition. Who had the better record this year? The freaking Suns did, man. We had the best record in the league.
Again, a dance with the Knicks. Once more. You know the drill by now. The Bulls handle business in 6 and will be attending the annual Chicago Invitational. I meant the 1993 NBA Finals. Standing in the way of a three-peat was the Phoenix Suns, led by Charles Barkley, who was averaging 26, 12, and 5.
MVP.
Barkley stole the MVP from...
Hold up.
Led by Charles Barkley, who was averaging 26,
12, and 5, 52, 30% from threes. Do you know this is the only complaint I ever had about him as a Phoenix Sun is he got comfortable shooting that 3. But I can't complain about it too much because even with that, he was still shooting 52%. So that's cool to see. But yeah, he started falling in love with that. If he got tired, because he was working his ass off that year, he would pull up and take a top of the key 3, like early in the shot clock. And it was one of those things, like you weren't supposed to do that back then, but he was so good that it was like, whatever. Give Chuck one.
12, and 5. Barkley stole the MVP from Jordan this year, and Jordan believed Barkley did not deserve the award.
Well, it's different. It's hard when you just won 2 championships in a row, and then the Bulls' record was actually worse in 93 than in 92. This makes sense, logically, because they're tired. You know what I mean? At this point, they're exhausted. So of course, they didn't win nearly as many games. That happened in the second three-peat as well. So when you have one team slowly declining, even though we know it's because of fatigue, but then the Suns jump from a good team to the best team in the league, and the thing that they changed was adding Charles Barkley, that I understand why he wins MVP. Who was the greatest player in the world? It was Michael Jordan. We all know this. But when you're talking most valuable player, they want to see what impact you made on your team. And that's hard to gauge when you're winning every year like Jordan.
Use this as personal fuel.
I didn't get the MVP that year and they gave it to Charles. Yeah. But with that said, okay, fine, you can have that. I'm going to get this.
Jordan responded by delivering one of the greatest finals performances ever recorded.
I know.
He averaged 41 points per game. Still the highest scoring average in NBA Finals history.
Oh, look at that, 51%, 40% from the threes and 8.5 rebounds. So here he is trying to beat Chuck at his own game. I could score a bunch of points and get a bunch of rebounds too, fool.
History till this day, including a 55-point game that sits second all time for the most points scored in a finals game.
Jeez, hold on. I got to do something real quick for future me.
finals performances ever recorded. He averaged 41 points per game, still the highest scoring average in NBA Finals history till this day.
Just for you guys, that's probably going to be the screenshot or the thumbnail, because I know you guys like to make fun of the 93 finals. So this one's for you guys.
Including a 55-point game that sits second all time for the most points scored in a finals game. The Bulls won the series 4-2, completing the first three-peat since the NBA merger in 1976. 3 years, 3 championships. But just as Jordan had reached the peak of the basketball world, tragedy struck.
James Jordan, the father of Bulls superstar Michael Jordan, has not been seen for 3 weeks. His car was found stripped and hidden in some woods near Fayetteville, North Carolina.
In the offseason of 1993, Jordan's father, James Jordan, was tragically and senselessly murdered by 2 thugs while sleeping on the side of the highway.
Man, if I could subscribe a third time, I would do it, because you're hitting all the things that I complain about people not talking about, the important context, and you're hitting it all. Good job.
The loss devastated Michael. Basketball, the game he had dominated for nearly a decade, suddenly felt different.
Yeah.
So in October of 1993, at the age of just 30 years old, Michael Jordan retired from the NBA, leaving the world in an uproar.
Now what's crazy is back then in 93, if you guys remember, everyone was already calling him the greatest of all time. Like he was the best to ever do it. And he was only halfway. Like he had a whole 50% left of his career. We just didn't know it at that time.
Speculated that this retirement was a secret suspension related to gambling. Jordan explicitly denied those rumors, stating he simply just needed a break.
And so did David Stern, the commissioner at the time. In fact, he laughs at those accusations, because who was their money man at that point? You know, they lost Magic, they lost Larry, they lost Kareem, they lost Julius. Who was the money man? It was MJ. And we were at the peak of the NBA in revenue, in views. Everything was sky high. You think for 1 second David Stern would want to get rid of and suspend his money man? There's no way in hell. Maybe a fine. I could see that. If this was true, I could see a hefty fine and a big warning, you know? But there's no way in hell he was going to suspend him for gambling something like this. It's not like he killed somebody or he committed some crime. He was just out there gambling his own money.
He stated he had nothing more to prove in basketball and felt he had achieved everything possible after the first three-peat the Bulls had. Jordan decided to pursue a career in professional baseball, which was a lifelong dream he shared with his father. He signed a minor league contract with the Birmingham Barons, which was an affiliate of the Chicago White Sox. Michael was a respectable professional baseball player, given he had not played the sport in 15 years, even though his raw statistics were below major league standards. Jordan will be gone from the NBA for around 17 to 18 months, and in his absence, Scottie Pippen would lead the Bulls to a 55-27 record, finishing third in MVP voting and fourth in Defensive Player of the Year. The MLB was in the middle of a lengthy strike that began in August 1994. Jordan wanted no parts in this lockout and decided to quit baseball in March of 1995.
Yeah.
He also felt the new generation of NBA players were hurting the competitive standards and the love for the game of basketball.
Yeah, they were. So with that lockout, they were bumping up the minor leaguers to play major league to fit it, to fill the gap. And I remember, I can't remember, it was so long ago, but I remember Michael Jordan saying, I wanted to earn it. Like, if I'm going to be playing in the majors, I want to earn it. I don't want to be like, you know, given this opportunity like that. So I think he lost his interest at that point. He was like, all right. BJ Armstrong asked him to go check out a practice and hang out a little bit and say hi to the guys. And the rest is history. The guy kept showing up.
That was established by legends like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and even himself. For nearly 2 years, the NBA moved forward without its biggest star. But on March 18th, 1995, a simple 2-word fax was sent to the media.
Y'all remember faxes?
And just like that, Michael Jordan returned to the Chicago Bulls, and the Bulls would finish the season 13-4 with Jordan averaging 27 points per game after being away from the game.
Wow, look at that. Surprised he was shooting 50% from three, but 41 from the field. I mean, this I kind of expected, considering, you know, he's fresh out of retirement. And his free throws went down by like 5% too. Interesting. The only thing that went up was his 3-pointers.
For more than a year and a half. The Bulls would beat the Charlotte Hornets 3-1 in 4 games in the first round, but would fall to the young and spry Orlando Magic led by Penny Hardaway and Shaquille O'Neal in the second round in 6 games. The following season would become one of
The Alan Parsons project, this copyright claim is going to you.
the
And
average
that's
30
okay. You guys are freaking awesome, man. I love... It's because of this, by the way. It's because of the Bulls intro that I went back as an adult, and I was like, what the hell is Alan Parsons? And yeah, there's some good tunes in there, man. Also, he was the audio engineer and producer of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Very gifted guy.
points per game, winning his 4th MVP. The new Big Three finished the season with a historic 72-10 record, the best record in NBA history at the time, and that stood for 20 years. The 1996 playoffs were one of the most dominant playoff runs in the Jordan era. The Bulls swept the Heat in the first round 3-0. Then Gentlemen swept the Knicks in 5 in the second round 4-1. And then got revenge and swept the Magic in the conference finals 4-0. And in the finals, Chicago was set to play the 64-18 Seattle Supersonics, anchored by Hall of Fame guard and Defensive Player of the Year Gary
It just
Payton.
goes to show how good the Sonics team was, because they steamrolled through the East. But the Sonics gave them a run for their money, man. And considering how superpowered the Bulls were and full of revenge they were at this point, it'll always be impressive. I know that like the critics and stuff, they like to put the Sonics like on a lower pedestal compared to the competition. But dude, the Sonics were great for this window of time.
The Sonics were also held tall by Sean Kemp, who was a
Yep, the
19
Rain
point
Man.
per game scoring all-star who could shatter the backboard. Also, Detlef Schrempf, who was averaging 17 points per game while scorching teams from beyond the arc, shooting 40% from 3. And it was evident that the Bulls were up for one of their hardest tests yet. The Bulls would take a commanding 3-0 lead in the finals before dropping the next 2, making the series 3-2. Jordan and the Bulls didn't allow lead in the finals before dropping the next 2, making...
Nice. Always got to give Dennis Rodman a shout out in this series, because he waged psychological warfare against the entire Supersonics team. And you know how the Bad Boy Pistons got the Bulls out of their natural headspace and not focused on the game back in the Jordan Rule era? Well, Rodman this time didn't use it by physical force. Rodman initiated this warfare just psychologically. He was playing the role of a Joker, like the Batman Joker. And he got in the heads of these Supersonics, man. They were getting technical fouls, doing crazy things, shoving him to the ground, and he's clapping in their face and laughing at him. Dude, Dennis. Oh, man. What a guy.
in the series 3-2. Jordan and the Bulls didn't allow Seattle to force a Game 7 after being down 3-0. The Bulls won Game 6 on the road, 87-75, to win their 4th ring of the 1990s. Jordan was named Finals MVP and had capped off the greatest season in NBA history. Then came 1997. Jordan led the Bulls to a 69-13 record, his 4th 60-win season under the Bulls, and almost his 2nd 70-win season.
But you'll see it happen again. The record is going to decrease. Wait a second. In the first three-peat? Wow. So the first three-peat, they actually improved in the second year and then got tired by because the Olympics on this one, so they were young still. But between 92 and 93, when the record declined, they won the second championship, then immediately went off to the Olympics in Barcelona. So yeah, their 2 leaders, Scottie and MJ, were exhausted.
Jordan averaged 30 points per game but came 2nd in MVP voting behind Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz. MJ and the Bulls had another dominant playoff outing, breezing past the Bullets in the first round sweep, dominating the Hawks again, this time in 5 games, and putting out the Heat in Miami, taking them down at 5 as well. Waiting for Chicago in the finals were the 64-18 Utah Jazz, led by Hall of Fame and MVP big man Karl Malone, who averaged 27 and 10. But Karl wasn't the engine of the Jazz. It was the Hall of Fame guard John Stockton, who is one of the greatest playmakers of all time. John averaged 14 points per game and 10.5 assists while shooting 42% from the three-point range. It was like every finals Jordan encountered, the difficulty increased, but yet it never stopped him. Both teams won each of their 2 respective home games, tying the series 2-2. But in Game 5 of the finals against the Utah Jazz, Jordan had ate some bad food the night before the game.
Bad
Jordan
pizza.
played through severe illness, despite suffering from intense dehydration and fever.
What's crazy is after watching The Last Dance, I felt even worse for the guy. I'm sure most of you have had food poisoning before, and you've had the flu. I think we've all had it. Guys, I would choose if we're talking in a 24-hour window, I would choose the flu any day over food poisoning. Food poisoning puts you you want to go into fetal position and just not move and not breathe and do anything for an entire day until it passes through you. Fever is just you're low energy and life sucks for a couple of days. You know what I mean? You got all those symptoms, but man, it doesn't put you on I've been able to work through that. I've worked through many flus back in the day, 12-hour shifts on my feet, hard work. Food poisoning? Dude, I'd be at the toilet the whole time.
Food poisoning. He played 44 out of the 48 minutes, hitting the go-ahead winner in what became known as the legendary flu game.
The guy played 44 out of 48 minutes. It's insane to do when your body is just, it's turning inside out on you the whole time.
Jordan dropped 38 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists while visibly exhausted. The Bulls won Game 5 by 2 points to take a 3-2 series lead.
And he came in clutch at the end, too. What a game. What a performance.
Won Game 6 on the road to capture their 5th franchise title. The Bulls won the series, and Jordan showed up time and time again in the clutch. When the Bulls needed him most, he delivered, winning his 5th championship and 5th finals MVP. And Jordan, being the GOAT, began to ring throughout the whole entire world.
And he had variety, too. He won one by being the clutch shooter and hitting the big shot. Then he won another one by being the decoy, getting a double team, and dishing it out for the game winner. He did it every way you could.
1998, the Bulls
one might say he made the right play every time.
Go 62-20. Jordan would win his 5th
62
MVP and would steamroll through the first 2 rounds of the Eastern Conference playoffs.
They were beat up and tired, and Scottie wasn't there in the beginning. This was a brutal year.
Beating the New Jersey Nets in the first round sweep, and the Hornets in a gentleman's sweep in the second round. Jordan and the Bulls would face a Pacers team led by Hall of Fame guard and one of the greatest shooters ever, Reggie Miller. The Bulls would be forced to 7 games for the first time since the 1992 New York Knicks series. Jordan would drop 28 points and would head to his 3rd straight finals appearance out of retirement. The Bulls would face the 62-20 Utah Jazz again, led by the same Hall of Famers Karl Malone and John Stockton.
And it's my opinion, I'd like to hear what you guys think. This Utah Jazz team was better than the 97 Utah Jazz team, in my opinion. And on the other side, the Bulls team was beaten down, tired, injured. They had a lot of problems. Dennis was distracted during this time. So I would say that the Jazz were stronger than in 97, and the Bulls were weaker than they were in 97. So what happens is nothing short of just phenomenal, in my opinion.
The Jazz would win Game 1 at home before the Bulls would steal Game 2 and run off 3 straight to go up 3-1. The Jazz would then beat the Bulls in Game 5 to avoid elimination, forcing a Game 6 in Utah for a chance to force a Game 7 after being down 3-1. But Game 6 would produce one of the most iconic moments in NBA history. After a long, low-scoring, grueling quarters of basketball, with seconds remaining down 1, Jordan stole the ball from Karl Malone, crossed over, and hit the game-winning shot over Byron Russell for his 45th point of the night. His 6th championship in 13 seasons, his 6th finals MVP and 6 championship wins, and the completion of the 2nd three-peat in 8 years. There was no more debating whether Bird or Magic was the GOAT over Jordan. It was clear that there was a new GOAT atop of the
100%.
hill, and that GOAT would become the benchmark for greatness. Forever.
I mean, he took it in every metric. He took it. He did the thing neither of them could do, and that's what he wanted to do first, was get a three-peat. He didn't do it just once. He ended up doing it twice just to prove it wasn't luck. And then Magic, no matter, if he would have retired after 3, then there would be some of people, and maybe I'd be one of them, who would always point out, hey, Magic won 5 championships, man. You know? So what are we doing here? Well, Jordan won 6. So there it is.
After the Bulls completed a second three-peat, unfortunately, the dynasty came to an end. Following the 1998 championship, the Bulls front office began dismantling the roster. Head coach Phil Jackson left the organization. Key players departed, and the dynasty that had ruled the 1990s was officially over. At 35 years old, Michael Jordan stepped away from the game again, his second retirement. For a moment, it felt like the story had reached its perfect ending. 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, and 2 three-peats. But Jordan's competitive fire never really left him. Then, in 2001, the world changed.
I mean, it still hasn't left him. He just learned how to channel it through NASCAR now instead of basketball, and it's pretty cool to see what he's doing out there, man.
The tragic events of September 11th, Jordan felt the pull of competition again. He announced to the world that he would return to the NBA, not just to play, but to help raise money for relief efforts. Michael Jordan donated his entire $1 million salary for the 2001-2002 season to 9/11 relief efforts.
So when we're talking about the old years, it's always funny to me. Look what Michael Jordan was doing. He was doing this for the love of the game, for the love of competition, and to help out the organization that he thought he was going to be a part of in the future with the Washington Wizards. What's LeBron doing in his old age? Other than getting swept in just getting swept and gentlemen swept over and over again. Taking $52 million. I don't see him donating anything, you know? He's not playing for the love of the game, you guys. It's just so different. And I'm surprised, too, because, LeBron only got 4. So you would think you would take less money so you can get better players and have a better chance of winning. Even though he already has phenomenal players, he could have even more good players if he took less. But no, you can't have your cake and eat it, too.
He announced this decision shortly after the attacks, aiming to support victims' families, particularly children affected by the Pentagon attack. But this time, he wouldn't return to Chicago. Instead, Jordan suited up for the Washington Wizards. And despite being nearly 40 years old, Jordan proved he could still dominate stretches of the game. In the 2002-2003 season, Jordan averaged over 20 points per game, becoming the oldest player in NBA history to score 40 points in a game. Even at the age where most legends had long since retired, Jordan was still producing moments that reminded fans of who he once was.
I'll summarize it. Wizards years, Jordan, outside of the injuries, on an individual level, he proved to the world that he's still top 5 greatest players in the world at that moment. He could still hoop and hold his own with anybody in the world. But what he also proved is that there's no way in hell he was taking that terrible Washington team, to the glory land. Even though that first season, man, it started looking like they were getting that momentum. So, but we'll never know because his knee went out on him, and history is history. But on an individual level, he 100% proved he can hang with anybody, any day, no problem.
But eventually, time wins every battle.
Which makes me always wonder, how many more championships could the Bulls have won? Because they had the team. They had the perfect team. Even if Jordan lowered his scoring down to 28 points a game, they had what it took to win more.
On April 16, 2003, Michael Jordan played his final game of his career, and he retired for the third and final time. Now this is where the conversation begins, because when people debate the greatest of all time, they often confuse 2 very different ideas. The best player and the greatest player are not always the same thing. The best player in basketball history will likely continue to change as the game evolves. Athletes are bigger now, faster, stronger, more skilled. Every generation builds on the one before it. But greatness is something different. Greatness is about impact. It's about dominance over your era. And it's about defining the standard that every player who comes after you will be measured against. And when you look at that definition, Michael Jordan sits alone.
To me, it's so simple. When LeBron fans are trying to say that LeBron is the greatest ever, who's the guy they keep bringing up? He's better than Jordan because of this. He's better than Jordan because of this. Who's that name we keep hearing? Michael Jordan. That's how you know you're the greatest. That's how you know you're the final boss. Because if not, we'd be saying, oh, you want to know why LeBron is better than Magic? Or LeBron is better than Dwayne Wade? Or, like Reggie Miller or something? No, because they're not there. Michael Jordan's in that spot, That's how you know he's the greatest. And until, LeBron just has no shot. That's the thing. I wish LeBron fans could just understand it's over. It's been over for many years. It's just not going to happen, man. Be happy with where LeBron's at. He still had a great career.
Some people
there can only be one greatest, and maybe someday someone will dethrone Jordan. But man, is it going to take a lot to dethrone this guy.
Russell and his 11 championships, and there's no denying that greatness.
Absolutely.
But context matters. During Russell's era, the NBA had only 8 to 10 teams. The playoff field was drastically smaller, and the talent pool was much more condensed. Others point to players like Robert Horry or John Havlicek, who finished their careers undefeated in the finals with more championships.
Damn, he was undefeated, huh? Shoot.
Jordan. But those players were not the focal points of their teams. Robert Horry only averaged 10 points and Havlicek only averaged 21 on the same team as Russell in the same era with 8 to 10
Yeah, but
teams.
shout out to both of them. But yeah, they're not in this conversation.
Jordan wasn't just winning championships. He was dominating them. In the NBA Finals, Michael Jordan averaged 34 points per game, the highest scoring average in finals history. 6 championships and 6 appearances. Never lost.
2 FIBA finals. That's right. A lot of you guys mentioned that. So, because I always say 9-0, but I don't count the FIBA finals. If you count the FIBA finals, 11-0 in championship situations. Incredible.
And 6 finals MVPs, never needing a Game 7. Another common argument is that modern players face tougher competition, and that is 1000% true. The game has evolved and will continue to evolve. But Jordan didn't dominate weak competition either. Throughout his playoff career, he faced more than 20 Hall of Fame players, and every team he defeated in the finals featured at least one All-NBA caliber player. And the numbers only reinforce the argument. Michael Jordan finished his career averaging 30.1 points per game, the highest scoring career average in NBA history. The only other player even close is Wilt Chamberlain. Jordan also produced statistical feats that still feel unreal till this day. For example, most games with 40 points on 50% shooting is Kevin Durant with 59, James Harden with 64, Stephen Curry with 69, and Kobe Bryant with 70. Michael Jordan, 146.
I'm not going to go back and look at the list, but every player I remember that he just listed, Michael Jordan played way less games than any of them.
Gap so large it doesn't even make sense. Jordan also averaged 30 points and made an all-defensive team 7 times, more than any player in NBA history. And perhaps, most impressively, Jordan led 36 out of 37 playoff series in scoring. The only time he didn't was his rookie year. And
against
even
the
then,
Bucks.
He was outscored by just 1 point. Another testament to his greatness.
1 point. Rookie year. Jeez.
There was even a brief stretch in 1989 where Jordan experimented with playing point guard. After voicing frustration with the team structure, Bulls coach Doug Collins allowed Jordan to run the offense. The results were ridiculous. Jordan recorded 10 triple-doubles in 11 games, including a streak of 7 straight. During that stretch, he averaged 33.7 points, 11.4 assists, and 10.8 rebounds, including multiple 40-point triple-doubles. After one of the games, Clyde Drexler even remarked that Jordan handled the ball better than Magic Johnson. It was just an experiment, but it showed something important. Jordan wasn't just a scorer. He can dominate any role on the court.
And so that means anytime you guys make an all-time starting 5, if you want to put Kobe at the 2, don't hesitate to put Jordan at the 1. He won't let you down, guys.
So when people ask the question, is Michael Jordan really the GOAT? The answer depends on what you value. If you value longevity, if you value modern skill, if you value statistical accumulation, then maybe the answer will change over time. But if you value dominance, perfection on the biggest stage, and the player who defined what greatness looks like, then the answer has already been written. Michael Jordan wasn't just the best player of his era. He became the standard that every generation after him is judged against.
That's why I call him the final boss. That's it. Right there. He became the standard that every generation after him is judged against. When Ant-Man starts kicking ass, who do we mention? Oh man, he looks like Jordan. When Jimmy Buckets was having his reign in Miami and just looking clutch as all hell in the playoffs, who do we talk about? He's starting to look like MJ. When Dwayne Wade came out and was kicking ass after his rookie season, shocking the world, going to the basket and dunking on people's heads, we were saying that might be the next MJ. What do we call Kobe his whole career? The next MJ. I rest my case.
Until someone surpasses that standard, the GOAT remains Michael Jordan.
What a video, man. Okay, guys, before I get into the outro, the link is down below in the description if you want to check out the Zay Speaks channel. And if you guys want to subscribe and check out whatever else he's got. I had a feeling this was going to be a good video, you guys, just based on the comments. But holy crap, that's a 10 out of 10. 196 subscribers. Guys, can we at least double that? Huh? I know there's more than 196 of you watching right now. If you guys liked it, I highly implore you to go down there and just hit that subscribe button, because 196 seems criminal for somebody who's pumping out some content like this. But anyways, that's up to you guys. I set it up for you guys so it's easy. The link is down below in the description of this video. And the reason we know that Jordan is still the final boss is because we are still saying the next Jordan. We're looking for the next Jordan. So the day that somebody else takes his place, we'll know it. For instance, if we started saying the next Wemby, and say like in 15 years from now, we start saying, oh, that might be the next Wemby. That might be the next Wemby. That's how you probably know that we have a new final boss in town. Until then, everyone is being compared to Jordan. And I almost feel bad for players, because Jordan set the bar so high that no matter how much somebody can achieve in the NBA, it'll always be compared to Michael Jordan. And the odds of being that consistent, that psychotic about competition, to win and win and win and win, no matter what, at all costs, I don't know if we're ever going to see another player do it. And I'm hoping we do. But I just don't know. I'm getting older, and I don't know if we're ever going to get to that day, at least before I die. But yeah, the day we do, I'll be shouting it from the rooftops. That's the new final boss, and then Jordan will be the second final boss to get there. For Street Fighter fans, it would be like, what was his name? Obviously M. Bison, but who was right before him? Shoot, that's how you know I'm getting old. Anyways, with that bomb right there of a joke, I'm gonna head out, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. I know this one went longer than anticipated, but it was just such an interesting video. I had a lot to say about it, so I'll head out now, and I'll see you guys for the After Dark, where we'll continue the celebration. I want to thank you all for joining me and watching this with me and hanging out and having a good time. Looking forward to seeing you all in the comments. And happy 23rd, y'all. See you later tonight, okay? Be water, my friends.